I call Joanne Dobson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I also welcome the opportunity to speak in this matter today. And like Danny, I would like to thank both Jeff Dudgeon and Austin Morgan, who join us in the public gallery for this debate, for all their hard work. Today's motion is not calling for anything that people should get themselves alarmed about, or something that is undeliverable. It's simply putting right a long-standing wrong within the current system. Apart from trainee teachers and those currently applying for teaching posts, I think few others would actually notice. The Catholic certificate may have its purpose, but to require all applicants to all teaching positions within CCMS primaries and nurseries to hold it is at its best discriminatory and at its worst outright sectarian. The fact that this exception remains within European law today, in 2013, should serve as a huge discredit to those that like to proclaim that EU is as being there to protect our human rights and to stamp out discrimination. No other part of the continent of Europe has had need of such a draconian and total exception in any area of employment. Out of the 27 states, with all the varying pressures and challenging intricacies going on in each of them, Northern Ireland remains the only one where discrimination against the employment of teachers doesn't even need to be veiled. It's actively promoted. For as long as this exception is in place, how can this House really expect shared education to break out into its next phase? We cannot, Mr Deputy Speaker, look to the future with confidence whilst blatant discriminations remain enshrined in law. Sharing is much more than facilities. It's about teachers as well. How can we expect that to formally happen for as long as the requirements of the certificate remains? These are the type of considerations which may not have been considered a decade ago when this issue was last looked at. What the Ulster Unionist Party are calling for here today is not the total removal of the Catholic training for Catholic teachers, but rather to remove the obligation of it on 80% of teaching posts within maintained schools. Danny has already indicated our plans to amend the Education Bill to remove this exception, and I believe we have found a very reasonable compromise for CCMS in the 1 in 5 rule. If this is still not enough to assure people, schools will also have the additional protection of Article 4 of the EU Directive of 2000, which states, in the case of occupational activities within churches and other public or private organisations, the ethos... Yes, no problem.
Maybe I could ask the member to outline where exactly in the bill it actually states anything about the Catholic certificate, because it was an issue I had to raise with the bishops, because my reading of it was that it wasn't there, and I was curious to see why it wasn't there to reverse it, because I think part of the problem is I don't see anything in the bill which actually reverses this discrimination.
The member has an extra minute.
Yeah, thank you. Thank the member for the intervention, and that's why we're bringing our amendments. If I can continue, in the case of occupation activities within churches and other public or private organisations, the ethos of which is based on religion or belief, a difference of treatment based on a person's religion or belief shall not constitute discrimination where, by reason of the nature of these activities or of the context in which they are carried out, a person's religion or belief constitute a genuine, legitimate and justified occupational requirement having regard to the organisation's ethos. As in the Republic of Ireland, and indeed everywhere else in Europe, their interest will be further protected by the concluding provision of Article 4 of the 2000 EU Directive, which reads, provided that its provision are not otherwise complied with, this directive shall thus not prejudice the right of churches and other public or private organisations, the ethos of which is based on religion or belief, acting in conformity with national constitutions and laws, to require individuals working for them to act in good faith and with loyalty to the organisation's ethos. Therefore, Mr Deputy Speaker, it is clear the removal of the teacher's exception should pose no risk whatsoever to the ethos of any school here. In conclusion, Mr Deputy Speaker, our education system reflects the rich diversity of cultures which exist in Northern Ireland. If you walk into any school, you will hear accents from all around the world. There is absolutely no reason why our teachers shouldn't reflect that same rich diversity. Thank you.